Alright, we're looking at the rectangular method of constructing an ellipse today, so ensure that you go through the PDF before doing this construction and looking at this video, right? So from the PDF, the fourth step says draw A, B, and CD 70 mm and 120 mm respectively. So that is the major and minor axis, right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do here. Draw the major and minor axis. And I'm going to skip forward because that should be something that you know how to do, right? Since we did it in the previous video. Alright, so now you can see that I have my major and minor axes here, right? AB and CD. And the next step would be to draw a rectangle, right? Using these points. So to do that, take your set square. Set it parallel to this line. Slide it to where point A is. Draw your line. Then you slide it to where B is. And draw your line. So now to get the other two sides, you set your set square parallel to this line. Slide it to this point. And draw your line. And then slide it to point D. And that there is your rectangle, right? So now the next step says divide CD, right? That's here, into any number of equal parts, right? So any number of equal parts can be used to divide the line CD into, right? In this case, I'm going to use 6, right? So to do that, we're going to divide this line here into 6 equal parts. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Remember the step said you can use any number, right? But in this case, I'm using 6. Alright, so I'm gonna skip forward to after I've divided the line. So this is after I've divided the line. You can see that I have 6 equal parts. Alright, and what I'm going to do now is at the middle here, I'm going to put the number 0, right? And then I'm going to transfer each of these points onto this line here, right? So to do that, take your set square in your ruler, set it parallel to this line, slide to that point. Since it will be here, you mark it off here, and you repeat the same step for the rest of the points. Alright, that's how you mark them off. So now that my points are marked off there, I can label them 1, 2, 1, 2. Alright, so you see I have 0 in the middle, 1, 2, 1, 2. And now that CD is divided there, I now have to divide AB. Alright, so to do that, we're going to divide this line here. And the same number that you use here, which was 6, we're also going to use it here. So I'm going to skip forward to after I've divided the line. Alright, so you can see that my line is divided there, and similarly, just like how these points were transferred, I have to do the same thing over here, right? So to do that, take your set square, and you're gonna slide it to each of the points, right? So I'm sliding it to this point, transfer, and it's going to be transferred over here, right? So you repeat the same step for all of the points. Right, you can see that my points are transferred over here. Two, one, two, one. Alright, label it exactly like how I have it labeled over here. Alright, so the next step will be a little complicated, so watch carefully. From point A, alright, you're gonna draw a line to point 1, point 1. Then you're going to draw to point 2 and then to point 2 again. Now, what I want you to look at carefully is this force line here that is going to point A, from point A to where point 1 is, right? Then from B, we're going to draw a line through this point 1. Now, notice that the same line coming from B going through this point 1 is touching this line here, right? That's also going to point 1. So you have to correspond the lines, right? Number 1 with number 1. So that will give you 1 point there on your ellipse. So now we're going to draw a line through point 2 to touch the second line that is touching the second point here. So that gives you your second point for your ellipse. So note that the line that is going through number 1 touches the same line that touches number 1. The line that is going through number 2 touches the same line that is touching number 2, right? So it's corresponding there, right? Number 1 for number 1, number 2 for number 2. So now we're going to repeat back the same step for this bottom part here for the rectangle. Connect lines from B to 1. Alright? Then connect it to number 2. And then from A, the line that is going through 1 has to touch the number 1 line. So that gives you another point. From A, the line that is going through number 2 touches the number 2 line. And that gives you your other point. So the same thing that you did for this half of the rectangle, you're basically going to repeat it back for this side, right? So I'm going to skip forward and show you how it looks like on this side. So this is what it looks like once you have all of your points. So the same thing that was done over here was repeated over here, right? So now that we have all of the points, we can draw the ellipse using our pencil alone. All right, and that's your completed ellipse, right? That's how it should look like.